This week on the Maine Business Show, we're hosted by Maine Community Bank, and we'll hear about their mission for building strong communities. We'll go to the Mid-Coast to see how beautiful wooden screen doors are made. We'll talk with fashion designer Jill McGowan as she continues to create quality clothes for women. Developer Kevin Bunker tells us what motivates him. Discover what at-risk teens find through the doors of My Place Teen Center. And we'll meet Dinah Mina, the engine behind Creative Portland. I'm Quincy Hensel. Join me on the Maine Business Show. Welcome to the Maine Business Show, where we introduce you to all kinds of businesses run by all kinds of people who keep the Maine economy humming. I'm your host, Quincy Hensel, and we're joining you this week from the home of Maine Community Bank in Westbrook. Community bank is a term the CEO, Jean Hewlett, takes seriously and literally.
Absolutely. It's in our name.
And we will hear a little bit more about that later in the show. But first, let's hit the road to the Mid-Coast. If you're of a certain age, one of the sounds of summer is of the wooden screen door slamming as you ran out of the house. Then came the era of aluminum storm doors. They're fine, but they're not the same. Those in the know that a beautiful wooden screen door still can be had thanks to the Wooden Screen Door Company in Waldoboro, founded in 1994. Owners Neil and Jennifer Gutekunst are proud to keep manufacturing these gems on the coast of Maine. So you're a Marine, you are an HR. What drove you guys to buy this company?
Well, Neil and I are both very type A individuals. With that kind of analytical background, it really made sense for us to be able to run a company ourselves.
It wasn't like we were fanatics about screen doors, but when we saw the business come up for sale, we were like, all right, let's take a look. It looks good. And then we came up and we were like, oh, I get it. Screen doors. These are nice. This is a great product. Once we met with the owner and saw the product, we knew that it would be a great fit for us.
A few things come to mind when I think of screen doors. The first is that kind of ubiquitous Maine camp. So you've got that cabin in the woods, and that cabin always has a screen door on it. And there's something incredibly nostalgic about that sound of the screen door creaking shut, slamming, that wind coming through on a nice summer day, maybe the family stopping by, kids are in and out. And it's not just that nostalgia, it's an architectural piece. It's going to add to the curb appeal of your home. But it's also kind of a testament to American craftsmanship. These doors are made here by hand with real wood. So every time you see that door, you're going to be reminded of simpler times, but also just of the quality craftsmanship that comes out of stuff up here in Maine. We don't want to put pressure on it. Take your time, get it done right. It doesn't matter how long it takes. At the end of the day, we just want the product to be perfect.
Right.
The doors are kind of like Lego pieces. You can really mix and match as needed. So although we have 80 designs, you can add things. We can do custom cutouts. We can add brackets, take brackets away. So the limits are really endless.
Right.
And then the cutouts are all done still by hand. So it's not CNC machine. It's just
Wow.
So this is where all of the magic happens. Right off the bat, you can see there's no computers here. All the doors are made by hand. We get all of the raw material, all the raw lumber delivered here. We plane it and mill it down, and then we set the mortise and tenon, glue the doors up from there. If folks want them primed, we do take that first step and prime them up for you. Then they head over to our screen room where screens and glass are made. And from that, they are shipped out all across the country or picked up here in friendly little Waldoboro.
When it comes to making wood products in Maine, that tradition of craftsmanship right here in the Mid-Coast, we have the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship. We have Lee Nielsen right down the road. You have all the boat building shops up and down the coast right here. All the wood that we source comes from sustainable sources as well. That's all renewable. So that's important to us as well. It's a great location right here on Route 1. We've got room to expand the building, and we can ship nationwide from right here as well. So there's no reason to move or to change locations.
One of Maine's most successful businesses is run by a woman for whom sewing was a way of life. It all began more than 30 years ago with the Great White Shirt. From there, Maine fashion designer Jill McGowan's creations have found their way into the wardrobes of discerning women around the world. We found Jill right here in Maine at her flagship store in Portland. So Jill McGowan is known for the white shirt. What was your inspiration in designing this for women?
I was a big fan of Hathaway shirt as a child. We lived near there, and we would go to their outlets and buy, seconds, and they were actually first quality. They would just wear so well. And so that's part of the inspiration. And then in college, I had so little money that I would go to thrift stores and I would buy secondhand items, and I would always wonder why things didn't last the way they used to. Why is it that today's products don't hold up to what they used to? And then when I went to design school, you understand more of the backstory, that you need to start with a core fabric that's a really good quality, and then stitching has a lot to do with it. So it's really, my inspiration was to make a product that would hold up over time. And I just ended up starting with a white shirt.
What's new in the collection?
Well, we have lots of new products in the store, and we branched out from our traditional white shirt, and we have lots of bright colors and prints from Japan. We have some fabrics from Italy, and it's just a really fun season to design. Cotton is my core fiber that we use, and so it's really a staple product, cottons and linens. Some people were a little surprised about the prices. They thought they were a little high, but I was buying the most premium, expensive fabric you could find in the world. But then once they started wearing them and put them on, they realized, oh, this is an investment piece, and it's something that I will wear over and over again. And we find that now where customers come in and they're wearing an item that might be 10 years old and is still holding up. My original business plan didn't come to fruition, and I'm actually grateful that it didn't, because now I have this really great life in Maine, and I work at a pace that's reasonable. Maine is where I grew up, and it's just a state where I have all my connections and family and friends, and I can't imagine doing this anyplace else.
John Alfred Poor, a Bangor lawyer, was concerned about Maine's economic decline in the 1840s and had an idea about how to reverse it. Enthralled with railroads since his childhood, Poor decided that Portland should make a bid to be the winter port for Montreal, a place for shipping traffic when the St. Lawrence Seaway was frozen over. According to the Maine Historical Society and Maine Memory Network, John Poor wanted Portland to be the terminus for an international railroad connecting the U.S. with Canada, and for Portland to be the primary American port in the Northeast. Boston also was vying for that privilege. Poor traveled to Montreal in February of 1845 to convince the Board of Trade that Portland was the best choice for a winter port. His account of his trip through high snowdrifts and frigid temperatures suggests his determination and that of his backers in Portland and elsewhere. In 1846, he started a foundry on the Portland waterfront called the Portland Company, where he built locomotives and cars for the Atlantic and St. Lawrence Railroad. The Portland Company built hundreds of steam locomotives, engines, construction equipment, automobiles, and other products until it closed in 1978. The site where the Portland Company once stood is now home to a 10-acre neighborhood known as Portland Fourside, which will include a public market, restaurants, a marina, and residences. When we come back, we'll find out what motivates one Maine developer to create communities.
These are real Maine Community Bank employees. They value honesty and integrity, hard work and independence. You can find them helping local business owners on a Friday and climbing mountain peaks on Saturday. Whether they're new to Maine or their family goes back generations, they come together to get things done. These are the people that make Maine great. They're the people that make us Maine Community Bank.
Welcome back to the Maine Business Show. Housing and community growth are hot-button issues in Maine. We want people to move here and help grow the state's economy, but there's not enough housing. And what there is financially out of reach for many people. Kevin Bunker, founder of Portland-based Developers Collaborative, is a practitioner of smart growth, helping to create residential, industrial, and commercial spaces where people can gather, walk more, and create communities. Kevin Bunker joins us to talk more about what he does. So Kevin, your company has done a lot of really incredible work within our communities. You developed the homeless services shelter in Portland. You've also done a lot of affordable and workforce housing. Why do you have such a commitment to our community as a developer?
Well, I got into development through urban planning, so that naturally comes with a focus on community. And then as I was able to progress in my career, the guy that I met that helped me get started in real estate was coming from the same place as a landscape architect. So naturally we both had similar values, but as I progressed in my career, I realized that you can do a lot of good and a lot of bad with real estate, and I just found that it was pretty easy to have a successful career and do good things, and I didn't want to be the kind of guy who was just trying to make the most money he could and just do anything with the land. It was always about a little bit more than that for me.
We're grateful for that. Yeah. You're also very focused on smart growth. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
So you could talk a lot about it, but generally it's building stuff where things already are. If you have existing infrastructure, build on that. If you have old buildings, redevelop those. Don't take up greenfields and build existing infrastructure that's going to be super expensive to maintain long term when we already have a lot of good stuff that we can use.
So housing is a topic that everyone is talking about. What is it that developers need to actually bring more housing to market?
We get asked that question a lot, and there's only so much that, say, the business community can do and local and state government can do. There are things that they can do to move the needle a little bit, but really we are at the mercy of the markets. We're at the mercy of the market for construction costs. We're at the mercy of the market for money, which is interest rates. Those are the two biggest things that we have to deal with, and those are generally imposed on us from without. What municipalities have to do in concert with the business community is not make it worse, not overburden with regulatory regimes that make it impossible to develop housing. Time kills deals, and predictability is key. So if you know what you're going to get when you approach a municipality, then you can predict whether or not you can make the investment or not. Things like that.
Let's talk a little bit about the role businesses can play in bringing more housing to market. I know I talk to businesses all the time who talk about the need for housing to attract workforce, and I think they're beginning to think about what's the role they can play to actually help provide affordable housing to their employees. So I'm curious if you've had conversations with businesses around this, or what do you think the role businesses can be in housing?
Another interesting discussion from the history of urban planning, where at one point, 100 years ago, the mill towns, for example, they provided all the housing for their workers, but it got out of style in America. It was seen as socialist, and the idea of providing housing for workers, one, is expensive and became inconvenient, and then on the other hand, it was seen as not truly American. But I think employers generally would not like to have to deal with it if they didn't have to, but they're having so much trouble retaining workers, getting workers, recruiting workers, that they've had to deal with it. So you see it more acute on islands and national parks, in hospitality industries, but even regular institutions, big employers around town that aren't able to get the employees they need are saying, okay, guess we have to address this housing thing.
You have left such a positive mark on our community. Is there a project or something that you might hope to do in the future?
Yeah, I went through a run through the COVID years and after of trying to do house first for women in recovery, then for homeless folks, then for asylum seekers. It's like, okay, what's next? Basically, my development filter at this point is, if somebody else can figure it out and do it, then I'm less interested in it. I really want to be pulled into projects that maybe won't get done if I don't do them. And that's how I feel about some of the projects I've been able to do in the last few years, and kind of what I'm looking at going forward.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was great to talk to you, and thanks for everything you're doing in our community.
Yeah, always good to see you.
Coming up next, we'll learn more about our host, Maine Community Bank. Welcome back. As I mentioned, we're being hosted this week by Maine Community Bank. Joining us now to talk more about that is Jean Hewlett, President and CEO of Maine Community Bank. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you, and it's great to have Maine Business Show here.
Tell us a little bit about the history of Maine Community Bank.
We are a 157-year-old community bank that is the merger between Biddeford Savings and Mechanics Savings that happened on January 1st, 2020. We changed our name to Maine Community Bank, and with our upcoming merger with Gorham Savings Bank, we will be the largest mutual savings bank serving exclusively Maine.
That is fantastic. So you and I have talked before about your passion for community banking, and you have referred to it as community banking as the foundation of Maine's economy. Can you talk a little bit about the role community banking plays in Maine?
Well, as you know, Maine is a small business state. Like 98% of businesses in Maine are small businesses. And it is the community bank that knows those businesses, knows the families, knows the nonprofits that are supporting the communities. And so our involvement in providing the capital really is the engine behind a lot of the growth, and is being able to see the needs of the community, see the needs of the businesses, and make decisions locally that really drive the economy.
Earlier, we spoke to Developers Collaborative, and they are taking commercial space on Forest Avenue and converting it into housing. I know Maine Community Bank is helping with the refinancing of that project. Is that type of redevelopment what you are thinking of when you talk about community banking?
Absolutely. That's a great example, because we're helping a developer rejuvenate that corridor of Forest Avenue, utilizing historic tax credits and creating housing in the upper stories that will really create energy in that part of Portland. So it's those kind of developments, as well as financing the multitude of small businesses, that are the lifeblood of the communities that we serve.
It's so great to see that type of redevelopment happening, especially along Forest Avenue. We need more of that. We need more housing. Housing is so expensive right now. And so what is the role that a community bank can play with individuals who are trying to finance and purchase homes right now?
We have all sorts of mortgage products, and the important thing is coming in and talking about what your situation is. We have mortgage loan programs with as little as 3% down. So a lot of young people, they have careers, they have cash flow, but they don't have the savings to buy that first home. So we have first-time home buyer programs. We partner with Maine State Housing Authority. We utilize grants that we get from the Federal Home Loan Bank to give starter capital to people that are buying their first home. But even if it's not your first home, we have programs that are low money down so that you can get into that next home that you're looking for if you have the income to support it.
In addition to housing, I know you have said Maine Community Bank really likes to help small businesses, especially startup small businesses. Can you talk a little bit about the role Maine Community Bank can play with businesses that are trying to get off the ground?
Well, because we're in your community, we know whether or not a business can be viable. It's not just the numbers, it's about what's happening in the community, it's about the people behind it. It's having that relationship and believing in what that business can become. Then we partner with agencies like the SBA, the Small Business Administration, or the Finance Authority of Maine to provide that capital to get them going. And by utilizing those programs, we can take a little bit more risk than we would otherwise. And I'm really proud to say that Maine Community Bank is the #1 SBA lender in the state of Maine in 2023 by dollar size.
Well, Jean, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for everything Maine Community Bank is doing to make Maine a place where people can live and work.
We love being in Maine, and Maine Community Bank, our name says it all. We are a community bank focused only on Maine.
For more than 25 years, preteens, teens, and young adults have found a safe haven full of compassion, love, guidance, and nurturing from caring adults at the My Place Teen Center. My Place Teen Center is making a difference in the lives of hundreds of at-risk kids. We took a closer look at what happens inside the center.
The mission of My Place Teen Center, in a nutshell, is to be a safe haven for kids ages 10 to 18. We provide the kids with character development, academic excellence, life skills, and civic engagement. We also feed them every day, and we provide them with an oasis after school and during the summer months. Predominantly, the kids who come here are facing food insecurity. They're facing turbulence in the home. And so the kids really are coming here to get off the streets, to be safe, and to be cared for and cared about. The space we designed to be very welcoming and very homey, and I like to say a big 10,000 square foot living room, is all designed to show a sense of comfort, a sense of warmth, and a sense of belonging. And all of that is encapsulated in our philosophy of providing dignity and respect and value to the kids that come here. We could not function without our cadre of volunteers, and our volunteers really are the lifeblood of the organization, and they do a lot of things, but one of the things they're really good at is being mentor to the kids, but also helping us out in the kitchen. One of the most satisfying parts of our job is when the alumni return for a visit. And when we hear the successes that they felt while at the Teen Center, it's the most gratifying thing that we could ever experience. Our primary source of funding is the benevolence of foundations and the community and corporate. And so because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, we are always seeking opportunities for partners to get involved in us, for people to invest in our mission and make a difference and have impact in a kid's life.
Creative Portland is the City of Portland's official arts agency. Its mission is to shine a spotlight on the artists and cultural organizations that make the city a place where people want to live. To find out more about Creative Portland, we stopped in for a visit.
Our mission is to promote the creative economy through the arts, and we do that by forging partnerships, by promoting artistic talents and cultural assets, and by providing a warm and supportive environment for people to convene, network, and get resources. All the initiatives that we manage and program here help to bring the community together and to bring new business to Portland. The economic impact study numbers reveal that for every dollar spent on an event, $13 are spent on other businesses. So if you have a vibrant arts community and a vibrant cultural life, then more people will come to do business here, will come to hotels, will come and go to use the restaurants and so forth. The First Friday Art Walk is our signature program, and it's a wonderful gathering for tourists and locals alike to come and participate in galleries that aren't usually open at night. So First Friday Art Walks are not only a wonderful economic impact opportunity for the city, but also a wonderful opportunity to network and be together as a community. Creative Portland's new program that we're very excited about is a pilot program called the Creative Portland app, and has a special planning tool in it so people can heart or favorite the program or project that they're interested in, and it will pop up as a push notification on the day of the event. It really is a concierge dream, because when you're a guest at a hotel and you want to know what to do that day, logging on to the Creative Portland app is really special, because you can go on self-guided tours of all the murals in Portland, for instance, and you can learn about those artists, where they are, what's happening. Creative Portland has become a trusted hub and convener for the arts community and for arts patrons alike.
That's it for this week's edition of the Maine Business Show. We hope you learned something new about Maine business and that you'll join us again next week. I'm Quincy Hensel. See you next time.